While your neighbor's garden is looking tired and brown in September, yours is absolutely glowing with vibrant colors. Today I'm sharing 10 remarkable perennials that will transform your late-season garden from forgotten to fabulous. These aren't your typical summer bloomers, these are the champions that save their best performance for when everything else is calling it quits. Welcome to Senior Green Thumbs. I'm here to help you create a garden that works as hard as you do, and today we're focusing on perennials that bloom from late summer through fall, with some even pushing into winter. If you've ever felt disappointed by your garden's September slump, this video will change everything. We're covering not just what to plant, but exactly how to plant it and maintain it for years of success. Plant 1, Toad Lily Tricertis. Our final let's start with the plant that brings exotic beauty to shaded areas when most flowering perennials are finished. Toad lily produces orchid-like flowers with intricate spots and patterns from August through October. Plant toad lilies in partial to full shade in rich, well-draining soil that stays consistently moist. They're perfect for woodland gardens or any shaded area where you want late-season flowers. Prepare the planting area by working in plenty of compost or leaf mold. These plants appreciate organic, rich soil similar to their native woodland habitat. Plant at the same depth as the container, spacing 18 inches apart. Maintain consistent moisture throughout the growing season. Toad lilies will struggle in dry conditions. A 2-inch layer of organic mulch helps retain moisture and regulate soil temperature. They benefit from monthly feeding with liquid fertilizer during the growing season. The arching stems position flowers perfectly for viewing as you walk by. Cut back to 2 inches after frost kills the foliage. These plants form slowly expanding clumps that rarely need division. They're completely deer-resistant, and the flowers often continue blooming even after light frosts. Plant 2, New England Aster. New England Aster, a native powerhouse that transforms late summer into a purple paradise. This beauty begins blooming in late August and continues through October, sometimes even surviving light frosts. When selecting your asters, look for varieties like Purple Dome or Alma Potchki. These stay more compact than the wild species. Plant them in spring, choosing a spot with full sun and well-draining soil. They'll tolerate clay better than most perennials, which makes them perfect for challenging spots. Here's the key to success with New England asters: cut them back by half in early July. This prevents the tall, floppy growth that gives asters a bad reputation. Simply use clean pruning shears and cut each stem back to about 18 inches. This technique, called the Chelsea chop, will give you bushier plants with more flowers on shorter, sturdier stems. Space plants 18 to 24 inches apart as they'll fill in nicely. Water regularly the first year, but once established, they're quite drought-tolerant. Every 3 years, divide them in spring to keep them vigorous. Simply dig up the clump, split it with a sharp spade, and replant the divisions. Plant 3, Japanese anemone. Japanese anemone brings elegance to the late-season garden with its papery cup-shaped flowers that seem to dance on tall stems. These beauties bloom from late August through October in white, pink, or rose colors. Plant Japanese anemones in spring in rich, well-draining soil that stays slightly moist. They prefer partial shade, especially in hot climates, though they'll take morning sun. Choose your planting location carefully, because these do spread by underground runners, not aggressively, but steadily. When planting, dig a hole twice as wide as the root ball and just as deep. Mix compost into your native soil at a 50-50 ratio. Water deeply after planting and maintain consistent moisture the first season. A 2-inch layer of mulch helps retain moisture and suppress weeds. Japanese anemones are slow to establish. Don't expect much the first year. By year 2, you'll see significant growth, and by year 3, they'll be spectacular. If they spread too much, simply dig up unwanted shoots in spring and share them with fellow gardeners. These plants rarely need dividing and actually resent being disturbed once established. Plant 4, Chelone turtlehead. Chelone, or turtlehead, is a native treasure that thrives where other perennials struggle. Those unique turtle-shaped flowers bloom from late summer right through the first hard frost, providing nectar when pollinators need it most. This is your go-to plant for challenging wet spots. Plant Chelone in spring in consistently moist soil. it's perfect for rain gardens or areas that stay damp. While it prefers partial shade, it will take full sun if given adequate moisture. Prepare the planting area by working in plenty of organic matter, compost, or well-aged manure works perfectly. Plant at the same depth it was growing in the container, spacing plants 18 inches apart. Water thoroughly and maintain consistent moisture throughout the growing season. Chelone requires minimal maintenance. Simply cut it back to 4 inches in late fall or early spring. The plants form tight clumps that rarely need dividing. If you want more plants, divide established clumps in spring, though they're perfectly happy left alone for years. Pinching the tips in early June will create bushier plants with more flower spikes. Plant 5. Helenium sneeze weed. Don't let that unfortunate common name fool you. Helenium is garden gold for late-season color. These daisy-like flowers in warm yellows, oranges and reds bloom from August through October, creating a spectacular autumn display. Choose compact varieties like short and sassy for front borders or traditional tall varieties for back-of-border impact. Plant in full sun and average, well-draining soil. Helenium actually prefers lean soil over rich conditions. Too much fertility leads to weak floppy growth. Plant in spring, spacing dwarf varieties 12 inches apart and tall varieties 18 to 24 inches apart. Water regularly the first season, then they become quite drought tolerant. Here's a professional tip: pinch the growing tips in early June to encourage bushier growth and more flowers. Deadhead spent flowers to prolong blooming, though leaving some seed heads provides winter food for birds. Cut plants back to 4 inches in late fall. Divide every 3 years in spring. Simply dig up the clump, split it with a spade, and replant healthy divisions. Helenium can be short-lived, so division helps maintain vigorous plants. Plant 6. Hardy hibiscus. For dramatic late summer impact, nothing beats hardy hibiscus with its dinner plate-sized blooms. These perennial giants produce 8 to 10-inch flowers from July through September in stunning whites, pinks, and deep reds. Plant in full sun in rich, consistently moist soil. Hardy hibiscus needs more water than most perennials, so choose your location accordingly. Prepare the planting area by digging a hole twice as wide as the root ball and mixing in a generous amount of compost. Here's what every gardener needs to know. Hardy hibiscus emerges very late in spring, often not until late May or even June. Mark the planting spot and be patient. They're not dead, just sleeping late. Once they start growing, they develop quickly into substantial plants. Water deeply and regularly throughout the growing season. These plants are thirsty. Apply a 2-inch layer of mulch to retain moisture and regulate soil temperature. Feed with a balanced fertilizer in spring when new growth appears. In fall you can either cut them back to 6 inches or leave the stems for winter interest and bird habitat. Cutting back in early spring. Hardy hibiscus rarely needs dividing and actually prefers to be left undisturbed. If you do need to move one, do it in early spring just as new growth begins. Plant 7. Montauk daisy. Montauk daisy brings coastal charm and late-season blooms to any garden. This shrub-like perennial waits until September to start its show, then covers itself in white daisy flowers through November. Plant Montauk daisy in full sun in well-draining, even sandy soil. This seaside native actually prefers lean conditions over rich garden soil. Good drainage is essential. It will rot in heavy wet soil. When planting, don't amend the soil unless it's pure clay. These plants thrive in challenging conditions that would stress other perennials. Space plants 2 to 3 feet apart as they form substantial mounds. The key to attractive Montauk daisies is pruning. In early June, pinch back the growing tips by 2 to 3 inches. This creates bushier, more compact plants that won't flop open in the center. You can repeat this process once more in early July if needed. Water sparingly once established. Overwatering causes more problems than drought. These plants are incredibly salt and wind tolerant, making them perfect for coastal conditions or anywhere with challenging exposure. Simply cut back by 1/3 in early spring to remove winter-damaged growth. Plant 8. Goldenrod solidago. Modern goldenrod varieties are garden gems that provide essential late-season nectar for pollinators. From August through October, these natives produce clouds of tiny yellow flowers that light up the autumn garden. Choose cultivated varieties like Fireworks for elegant arching habits or Little Lemon for compact borders. Plant in full sun in average to poor soil. Goldenrod actually performs better in lean conditions than in rich garden soil. Plant in spring, spacing according to the variety's mature size, typically 12 to 18 inches apart for compact types, up to 3 feet for larger varieties. These are drought-tolerant natives that need minimal care once established. Here's the secret to well-behaved goldenrod: cut stems back by half in early June. This creates shorter, bushier plants that won't need staking. You can also pinch the growing tips monthly through July for even more compact growth. Goldenrod rarely needs supplemental water after the first season and thrives in poor soil where other plants struggle. Deadhead to prevent excessive self-seeding, though some seedlings are often welcome. Divide every 4 to 5 years in spring to maintain vigor. Cut back to 4 inches in late fall or leave standing for winter bird habitat. Plant 9. Vernonia Ironweed. Vernonia or Ironweed, Vernonia or Ironweed, brings bold purple color and architectural presence to the late-season garden. These natives produce clusters of intense purple thistle-like flowers from late August through September. Plant Vernonia in full sun to partial shade in moist, rich soil. Unlike many natives, this one appreciates good garden conditions and consistent moisture. It's excellent for rain gardens or areas with clay soil. Prepare the planting site by working in compost or well-aged manure. Plant at the same depth as it was growing in the container, spacing plants 2 to 3 feet apart. Water regularly the first season to establish deep roots. The common name ironweed refers to the incredibly strong stems that never need staking despite reaching 5 to 6 feet tall. This makes it perfect for windy locations where other tall plants would require support. Vernonia needs minimal maintenance once established. Pinch growing tips in early June if you want shorter plants, though the natural height is part of its architectural appeal. Water during prolonged dry spells, but otherwise, let nature handle the watering. Cut back to 6 inches in late fall or leave for winter structure and bird seeds. Plant 10. Aromatic Symphoitric in. Our final the plant, the aromatic aster creates clouds of tiny white to pale blue flowers from September through October, adding delicate texture when the garden needs it most. This native thrives in conditions that challenge other perennials. Plant in full sun and well-draining, even poor soil. This prairie native actually prefers sandy, lean conditions over rich garden soil. It's perfect for challenging dry slopes or areas with thin soil. When planting, don't amend the soil unless drainage is poor. Space plants 18 to 24 inches apart, allowing room for their naturally spreading habit. Water sparingly. These plants are extremely drought tolerant once established. Aromatic aster has a naturally relaxed, somewhat floppy growth habit that creates beautiful naturalistic effects. If you prefer more structure, cut stems back by half in early June. This creates shorter, denser plants with more flowers. The pleasant fragrance released when you brush against the foliage gives this plant its common name. It's incredibly valuable for late-season pollinators and requires virtually no maintenance. Simply cut back to 4 inches in spring. These plants self-seed moderately, and the seedlings are usually welcome additions. All these late bloomers benefit from consistent moisture during their first growing season while establishing roots. Once established, most are quite drought tolerant. Apply a 2-inch layer of organic mulch around plants each spring to retain moisture and suppress weeds. Most can be planted in spring or early fall, though spring planting gives them a full season to establish before their first winter. When dividing is needed, do it in spring as new growth begins. These 10 perennials prove that your garden's best show doesn't have to end in August. By choosing plants that peak in late summer and fall, you're creating a landscape that provides beauty and wildlife habitat when it's most needed. Each of these plants offers something unique: bold color, delicate texture, wildlife value, or exotic beauty, but all share the common trait of thriving when others are shutting down. Remember, the key to success with any perennial is matching the plant to the right location and giving it what it needs to establish. Plant them right, and these late bloomers will reward you with years of spectacular autumn color. Start with 1 or 2 varieties that appeal to you and suit your garden conditions. Once you see how dramatically they transform your late-season garden, you'll want to add more. Your September and October garden will never look tired again.